crops in the summer season from March to June. Okay. Example are seasonal fruit or vegetables. Okay. This crop is also needed for replenishment of the soil with the nutrients. Okay, students, now we will discuss the basic practices of the crop production. It is 7 steps. It is a multi-step process and it includes 7 steps. Okay. The first step is preparation of soil. In this, we use the soil and turn the soil, and as well as we will also level the soil. Okay. In second step, we sow the seed. We plant the seed in the soil. Okay. And then we add manure and fertilizer. These are very essential, which provide nutrient to the soil, which help the plant to grow. Next, irrigation. We know water is essential part of growth of the living organism. So, crop also needing water in the form of the practice which we use to give the water to the plants is irrigation. Now, we need to protect our plants from insects and as well as weeds also. Okay. So, removal of unwanted plants from the cultivated field to allow crop properly access the light, space and nutrient. We need to remove this weed, and this is called weedicide. Okay. Now after that we need to harvest our crop. Cutting mature crop from the field is called harvesting, and then we need to store the crop by keeping the grains for the produce safe from rat, insect and microorganism and moisture also. Okay. So now we'll discuss one by one. Firstly, this is the overview. Okay, this is the chart, flow chart which you can copy in your notebook also. Okay, so soil preparation, plowing, leveling, and applying fertilizer, then selection of the seed, then irrigation, weeding and crop production, and harvesting and storage. Okay, this is nothing but the overview of the previous slide only. Now we will study these steps in detail. So first step is preparation of the soil. So firstly, we need to understand why do we need to loose or turn the soil. It is very important because it allows the root to grow and go deepest into soil and get breathe easily. Okay, it allows air to reach the root. It is the first point. Secondly, it helps in growth of the microbes, that is good microbes. Okay, plus earthworms that add humus to the soil and in turn and loose the soil further. Okay, then nutrient-rich soil comes to the top. This soil, which is also known as humus, it comes to the top and can be used by the plant for the growth. Then the process used for loosening and the turning of the soil is also called tilling and plowing. Okay. Now after tilling, the leveling is also essential. It is done with, in which the big clumps of soil called drums are broken. Okay. And leveling the field help in process of soil and irrigation. If we do not level the soil, it will result in soil erosion also. Plus, the plant will not grow appropriately because of the presence of these clumps. Okay. So, students, these are the agricultural implement used for plowing. First one is plow, second one is hoe, third one is cultivator. So, plow is nothing but that implement which is made with wood and drawn by pair of bulls or other animal like horses. It is used for tilling, adding manure, etc. It consists of firstly that plow share. It is a strong triangular iron strip which is this part. Then plow shaft. It is long log of wood which is attached to the beam. This part and the beam which is not visible in this picture. It is present here. Which is placed on the bull neck. Okay, this is all about plow. Now next implement is hoe. It is usually pulled by animal. Simple tool. It is used for firstly weeding. Okay, weedicide. So weedicide. Then next is loosening of the soil. It consists of a long rod made up of wood or iron and a strong board and bent plate of iron on the one end. Okay, this is very simple and basic agricultural implement tool. Third one is cultivator. It is a modern implement which we use nowadays. It consists of a tractor, driven cultivator, this is the cultivator, and a modern and it requires less labor and time. Okay, it is modern technology. We don't use this implement nowadays, we use this one. Okay, students, why this leveling is important? Leveling of the field is important firstly to protect our field from the soil erosion and indirectly nowadays. Today seed drills are used with a tractor to sow the seed. Okay, we use this seed drill attached to the tractor. Okay, now they are better because firstly they sow seed uniformly at equal distance and depth. It is very that important part. This part that sowing seed uniformly at equal distance and equal depth, because without it the two seeds will compete with each other for the nutrient and they will not grow. So we need to have that much distance so that they can grow in proper amount, in proper that height. Okay. Next, cover seed with soil after sowing so that bird do not eat them. This is also important. We need to cover the sown seed. Okay. Next, it saves time and labor. It is very clear that with the help of tractor and seed drill, we can save our time. Now, what precaution should we take while sowing? Firstly, while sowing it is essential to make sure that your seeds are healthy and of high quality. Okay. Next, they are planted at a correct distance from each other so that they can get proper light, water, and nutrient. As we have discussed, we need to maintain a distance for this purpose. Next, they must be sown deep inside the soil to protect them from animals and birds. Okay, and weed also which might blow your seed away. But not that deep so they may not get enough air to germinate. If you sow your seed too deep, then firstly it will not be able to germinate. Secondly, it will not get enough air for the germination. Okay. Why it is better to sow seed uniformly? Seed should be planted at appropriate distance to avoid overcrowding of the plant. As we have discussed already, it allows the plant to get proper sunlight as well as sufficient water and nutrients from the soil. Okay. Why are plants kept in small bedding nursery? This is the essential information. Sorry, this is the extra information. It is not part of your chapter, but few plants like paddy, forest plant, and flowering plant are first grown in nursery into seedlings, the small plant. Then it is transplanted to the plant manually, keeping the seedling in bag, make it easy to transfer. Okay, some plants need to be transferred. They cannot be grown directly from the seed. Firstly, we grow them in different field, then we transfer the seedling from that field to another field, and this process is called transplantation. And few examples of transplanted plants are paddy. Okay, now next step is adding manure and fertilizers. Why do we need this? Why are manure and fertilizer are added in the soil? It is very important step because when after the crop is grown in the same field, like if we grow the same crop again and again, the soil becomes poor in the nutrient. It is very clear. If we grow same crop again and again, the soil becomes poor in nutrient because the nutrient get used up by the previous crop. Then manure and fertilizer are added to the soil to replenish the certain nutrient with the soil. Okay. So to ensure proper growth of a plant, if we do not have manure and fertilizer, growth will be improper. They won't grow to certain height. Your crop will be of low yield. Okay. What are different types of manure that farmer use? Manure can be of various types. Natural organic manure, which includes raw manure, compost, and green manure. Your household that biodegradable waste, it all from natural organic manure. Next, raw manure, which is mix of cattle and domestic waste. Then compost is well-rotten plant and animal residue. Okay, so crop is the second step of raw manure. Okay, when we keep this raw manure inside the soil for certain duration, it will become the proper compost. It is better than raw manure. Then green manure are the crop grown in the field. Okay, these are the crop which is grown along with your the proper crop only as a pure crop or intercrop between the main crop and then buried in the soil to enrich the soil. So we sacrifice this green manure. We grow them along with your crop. Then after they die, we bury this inside the soil only. Okay. So they give sacrifice for nutrient replenishment for your proper crop. Next, biofertilizer. microorganisms which make agriculture sustainable. These include rhizobium, which is present inside the root nodule of leguminous plant. Okay, then azobacter, bluegreen algae, mycorrhiza. Okay, all these are the biofertilizers which, when present in the soil, it naturally replenish your soil with nutrients. Basically, nitrogen nutrient. Okay, that's why they are called nitrogen fixing organism. Now, next is vermicompost. As the name suggests, worm means microorganism. It is a compost which is formed by worm, means worms, microbes. Okay, it is a compost which is made by earthworm. Earthworm is a worm. Now, what are the three methods to replenish your soil with nutrients? First is adding organic manure, adding chemical fertilizer, then leveling the field uncultivated between two crops. So leaving your that field uncultivated between the two crop season. It also replenish the soil by itself. Okay. Now, crop rotation, in which different crop are grown alternatively. We avoid same crop so that that soil will replenish the nutrient by itself. Okay, so these two methods, leaving the field uncultivated and crop rotation, will replenish the nutrient by itself. It does not need manure or fertilizers. Okay, now fertilizers are the chemicals which do the same thing which manure do, but they are the fertilizer. Okay. Sorry, chemical. So example of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, etc. You can watch it from the slide. Now, what are the pros and cons of using fertilizer? Okay, pros are they are chemical, so ultimately they will harm the plant and your health. Rich in particular nutrient, they have more amount of nutrient than manure, but which help actually they help the farmer, but they are rich in nutrient which ultimately leads to they are rich in chemical which ultimately harm the plant, your crop. Okay, but you will get better yield like wheat, paddy and maize. You will get better yield when you use the fertilizer, but if you overuse the fertilizer, it will damage your crop. And cons are they make soil less fertile. If you use fertilizer in the same field again and again, it will make your soil infertile and also cause water pollution because they are chemical, they are non biodegradable, so they will cause water pollution as well as soil pollution also. Okay. Now, why manure is better than fertilizer? It is well understood because organic manure are natural and fertilizer are chemical. Okay. Secondly, manure also add the humus top layer of soil, which give the more nutrient to the soil itself without adding chemicals. Okay, increase its water holding capacity, improve soil texture because it is natural. The advantages which we get will be natural only. Okay, now it makes soil porous. It adds the pores to the soil which make gas exchange easy. So it helps in photosynthesis also. Now it increases the number of friendly microbes like earthworm. Okay, it is well understood if you add the fertilizer, the friendly microbes will die because of the chemical, but they like the manure because it is natural. That's why they will increase the number if you add the that natural manure. Example of crop rotation, the process which we have discussed in our previous slide. In North India, farmers used to grow legumes, dal, in one season as a fodder and wheat in the next season. This helps the soil to get replenished with nitrogen. As we have discussed, the root nodules of the leguminous plant have the bacteria, rhizobium, okay, which replenish the soil with nitrogen. That's why in earlier times, so now also the farmer they grow the leguminous plant after the wheat crop so that the soil gets replenished with the nitrogen. Now, as we have discussed, the root nodule of leguminous plant are rhizobium, which makes the atmospheric nitrogen. Okay. Now, irrigation. This is the next step. Irrigation. Time and frequency of irrigation. Irrigation is watering your crop. Okay. The time and frequency of irrigation depends on variety of the crop which you are irrigating. Secondly, the type of soil. Thirdly, the season, whether it is summer, winter, etc. For example, in summer, watering has to be done more frequently because of the evaporation of the water. It needs more water due to the increased evaporation. Okay. Now, next, irrigation is essential because we cannot grow our crop without water. Okay, this is well understood. The plant contains 90% of water and need it for proper growth and development. Next, when roots absorb water, they also absorb minerals. So, along with water, the root getting minerals from the soil through this water absorption only. Okay, so it is responsible for mineral absorption also. Next is germination of seed does not take place in dry condition. Seed will not germinate without water. Okay, so the growth pattern in plants is different from growth pattern in human. In plant, they need water for growth. Next, nutrient dissolved in water get transported to different part of the plant. Okay, it helps in nutrient absorption also. Now, water is also protect the crop from frost and hot air current, sudden shock of the cold waves. Okay, all these are the essential things which are done by irrigation. Now, source of irrigation, I have given few examples. It is go through it well, tubewell, pond, lake, river, dam, canals. Okay. Now, these are the traditional method which people used to use in ancient time. First is pulley system known as moat. Okay, in which we use a well to draw the water into the your field, agricultural field. Second is chain pump, in which we use this chain pump to irrigate your field. Third is known as lately. Okay, and fourth one is rahar. Okay, this rahar uses level system to irrigate your field. Now, modern technology use this kind of method. First is sprinkler system. In Hindi we call it fawara. Okay, so it is best where the land is uneven. When your land is not level properly, it with the help of sprinkler it spread the water equally in the unlevel field also. So secondly, if your water supply is not sufficient, you have less amount of water, then also it will use less amount of water and it will reach the more crop in less time. That's why we use sprinkler system in that kind of area which do not have sufficient water supply and land is uneven. Okay, it has a perpendicular pipe. You know what perpendicular is? 90-degree pipe which rotate the nozzle. This is the perpendicular pipe and this is the nozzle which can rotate 360 degree, joined to the main pipeline at a regular interval. Okay, so all these sprinklers are joined by a main pipeline. Water flow through the main pipeline. So water flow like this under the pressure created with the help of a pump. Okay, it is attached to the pump which create the pressure and which allow the water to move in a main pipeline. It escapes from rotating nozzle. So we know we need to release the pressure. Whenever we are in pressure, we need to release the pressure. So this water in this main pipeline, which is not visible in this diagram, the water in this main pipeline is under the pressure and it got released when we rotate this nozzle, and that's how it works. Okay. We use this often. You have seen this kind of sprinkler method in gardens, in lawns, in coffee plantation. Okay. Next is drip system. Drip means boom. Okay. It is best for availability of. It is best for the area where the water availability is poor, like Rajasthan. Okay. Such kind of area. Water flow drop by drop directly near the root. It gives the water in drop method. Okay, drop by drop near the root of the crop. There is no wastage of water because water is going directly in the root. There is no wastage of water. It is used for fruit plant, gardens, and trees. Okay. Now, how does over irrigation we know that we need to maintain a certain pH in your soil, but too much water will lead to accumulation of soil and lead to that your soil become acidic. Okay, and in acidic soil your crop will not grow. Now you do not go deep in the soil, and hence plant are not able to get full nutrients from the soil. Root are also unable to anchor the plant properly, and the crop can easily get damaged by the strong wind. Your root will not grow properly. Okay, so they will get easily drawn by the strong winds. Okay, it will not take a proper shape. Your that root will not take proper shape, and in that they will not absorb your nutrient and mineral properly, which ultimately result in damage of your crop. Now we need to protect our crop. Firstly, we will discuss about the weeds. So weeds are nothing but undesirable plant that grow along with your main crop. Okay, and the removal of weed is called weeding. Why this is essential? Firstly, the weed will compete with your main crop for light, space, water, and nutrient. Okay. Next, they may interfere in harvesting process, and it can poison the animal and human being also. Sometimes the weed is the poison. Okay. So how do this is done by the farmer? Firstly, by the tilling itself. Before the sowing of crop, we do the tilling process, which ultimately remove these weeds. Okay. The farmer uproot these weeds and kill the weed. Nextly, manually removing them using pruning. It is the agricultural implement to uproot them and cut them close to the ground. We need to cut their roots, otherwise it will grow again. Okay. Next, spraying of weedicide. Now this term weedicide. Whenever in science or biology you hear this word side, it means killing. So here it means killing of the weeds. These are the chemicals which we use to kill the weeds, okay? But they do not damage the proper our main crop. Examples of this is 2,4-D, methane, which is kapoor, which we use in our home, acetic acid, etc. All these act as weedicides. Why should farmer keep in mind? What should a farmer keep in mind while using a weedicide? Firstly, the best time to remove weed is before they produce flowers. After that, it will be very hard for farmer to remove them and seed. Secondly, weedicides are diluted with water and spray the field. Why? Dilution is important because otherwise, if we use the concentrated form of this weedicide, it will harm your main crop also. Farmers should cover their nose and mouth because ultimately these are chemical only and it can harm farmers. That's why they need to cover their nose and mouth with a piece of cloth. Now next is harvesting. Harvesting is cutting off your crop after its maturation. This is the last step of your agricultural practices. Now cereal crops like it takes up like 3 to 4 months to get mature. Okay. In India, many festivals are associated with harvesting, such as Pongal, Vaisakhi, Holi, Diwali, Navratri, and Bihu. All these are known as harvesting festivals because they are associated with harvesting. Now, harvesting can be done manually using sickle or machine. Nowadays, we use machine only. It is called harvester. Okay. Now, after harvesting, separating chaff from grain is done through threshing and winnowing. Okay, these are the post-harvesting techniques. In threshing, we separate the chaff. Chaff is nothing but the unwanted part of a crop. We just need the grain of the crop. So removing unwanted part from the whole crop is known as threshing. We do it by beating the whole crop against a stone or wooden bar. In this process, grain falls from the stone due to force. Okay, so the husk will blown away with the wind and you will get your grain. Okay. Now there is a machine called combine, which do not require the manual removal of these two things. It is known as combine because it includes both of this one, threshing and winnowing. Okay. Now storage. This is the last step in which we store our harvested crop. How grain protected from the pest, bacteria and fungi. Grain are dried. Firstly, drying is very important because all these microorganisms, pests, etc. need moisture. If we remove moisture from the seed, it itself gets protected. Okay, to reduce the moisture. At a small scale, grain are stored in jute bag or metallic bins, but at large scale they need to be kept in silos or granaries. Okay, dry neem leaves are used at home to protect the grain because it dried neem repel all these pests, bacteria, and fungi, etc. In big godowns, chemical treatment has to be done because we cannot entirely depend on neem for that. For this purpose, we need to use chemical, which like pesticide, etc. to remove all these things. Okay. Now, what precautions should be taken during storage of the grains? Firstly, grain should be dried totally, as we have discussed in previous slide. Otherwise, they might rot also. They should be stored in completely dry gunny bags. Dry condition is essential. Now, bags should be kept in place which is completely moisture free. Same point, same thing. Storage area should be well ventilated. Ventilation is also important. They need to have that much air for their survival. Next, and in large godown, care should be taken that chemical used to repel or kill insects and rat do not contaminate the food grain. We need to use that much amount that will not contaminate your that crop itself. It is used to repel the pest and rat, etc. But that chemical should not contaminate your crop. Okay. Now this is the flow chart. Okay. Now quickly let us revise the whole thing once again. Firstly, crop can be divided into two types: kharif crop and rabi crop. Then production and management of the crop, which is also known as agricultural practices, which is divided into 7 steps. In first step, we studied about the preparation of the soil, which is further divided into plowing, which is loosening of your soil, and leveling, which is pressing of your soil to level your field. Next, selection and sowing of the field. We have studied about the various methods for that. Then replenishment of your nutrient by natural method and by chemical. Chemical are known as fertilizer. In natural method include manures. Okay. Then irrigation, the supplying of the crop by traditional method and modern method. Then crop protection from weeds and pests. From weeds, we have studied various methods by which we can remove the weeds, and then harvesting, and in the last we have studied about storage of the crop. Okay, storage. So this chapter is over. Go through it. Now let us manure that provide a humus, but fertilizer do not because they are chemical. Now next, they are rich in plant nutrient. They have less amount of plant nutrient as compared to fertilizers. That's why we cannot completely ignore your fertilizer. We cannot completely ignore fertilizer because they are more rich in nutrient than your manure. For example, if your manure will take 1 month for a crop to replenish, your fertilizer will take 1 day. That's why we cannot completely ignore this. That's why we need to use both of them. Okay? Next, long-term usage have adverse effect on soil. It will damage your soil, but long-term improve your soil only in case of manure. What is irrigation? Describe 2 methods of irrigation. We just discussed it. Irrigation is nothing but supplying of water for the crop production, and 2 methods which we have studied are deep irrigation and sprinkler system. For deep studies, go to the previous slides now. Next question states that if a wheat is sown in a kharif season, what would happen? We know that wheat is a rabi crop, but if we sow the wheat in kharif, what will happen? It will not grow, it will be destroyed. Why? Because unfavorable temperature. We just studied that a crop need to be grown in a proper temperature, in proper soil and a proper reason. Otherwise, it will be damaged because of unfavorable temperature, pest and adaptation condition for plant to grow. Kharif comes during a rainy season. Okay? So what does it mean? It will provide more water. Means it will not wise idea to grow wheat in kharif season. If we grow the wheat in kharif season, the roots of the wheat will rot because of the extra water. Because we do not require that much water, but in kharif season it will be there because of the rain, and it will rot your that wheat crop. Next question: explain how soil get affected by the continuous plantation of crop in a field. Firstly, we just discussed about this that the plant require nutrient for their growth. Without optimum nutrient, it will not grow. Continuous plantation will result in depletion of that nutrient. Okay, like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. These are the nutrients which are essential by any plant for the growth. And if we keep on growing the same plant and same crop again and again, it will deplete your soil with this nutrient. This result in decrease of the yield due to loss of nutrient, and hence there should be a gap between your crops in order to get a good yield. Next is what are the weeds and how do we control them? We just discussed it, so no need to go in that. Next, arrange the following order to make a flow chart of sugarcane crop production. So these are the 7 steps. You have to